Data centers are becoming a problem nationwide, especially right here in Pennsylvania, and you need to know about it. Data centers have existed for a long time, as far back as like the 1950s. I mean, the way you're accessing this video is probably through some sort of a data center, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, whatever it may be. This data is hosted on a data center. And I mean, we've had these forever. I mean, most of the internet is hosted by Amazon on AWS, which is hosted all over the world in data centers. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with regular old data centers. I mean, they're computers that sometimes, these data centers sometimes could be as small as just regular old buildings. You wouldn't even notice that there's a data center in your community if all it was hosting was maybe Facebook. But the reality of the situation is this: these data centers that are popping up nationwide, almost seemingly overnight, are AI data centers, specifically hyperscale data centers. These are large mega data centers that are built with powerful computational power that runs 24/7, consumes as much power sometimes as small to medium cities, and uses enough water as cities too, sometimes copious amounts more. Because these centers do a couple things. One, they train new AI models. The models that you use for ChatGPT, Google Gemini, any of Meta's models, they all needed to be trained. I mean, these are billions upon billions of parameters, images, text, things that these robots effectively read over and over again to generate prompts and to make things. And look, I'm no AI expert, but I certainly tinker around with it. In fact, someone wrote an article about the fact that I use Perplexity for a lot of my research for political things because I don't have a team. And there are plenty of people who innocently are using AI around the world to fix emails or to generate fun flyers for their events. I get it, and I'm not necessarily demonizing people who use AI right now, though more on that later. The reality is, in order for those models to work, they need to be trained, and that takes a ton of computational power. The amount of power, which sometimes is the equivalent to entire cities. I mean, we're talking like sometimes 50 megawatts, 100 megawatt centers that are pulling off the infrastructure more than the infrastructure can maintain. For example, right here in Mifflin County, they are proposing a massive 100-some acre data center right in our industrial complex. So what does that mean for you? Well, these data centers use copious amounts of power, which means the power companies have to increase their infrastructure in order to compensate, and that means they're going to pass that cost on to us. They're going to spend copious amounts of money to make it so the data center can access more power, but they're going to be passing that buck on to you and to me. That's not a lie. It's already projected that our power bills are going to go up copious amounts simply due to the fact of these AI data centers existing in the first place. Not only that, but these data centers using copious amounts of power generate a ton of heat. And in order for these data centers to not overheat, they use evaporative cooling systems, and there's a debate left and right about evaporative versus water cool versus using glycol. Here's the reality. These data centers use a ton of water. And I don't care that some industry insiders are claiming that some of these are closed loop or that they don't get rid of water. It's already been shown that data centers across the United States use copious, I mean, we're talking millions of gallons of water. And then that water goes somewhere. That water eventually even if it is a closed loop system, eventually evaporates off, and they will need more water. Not only to the fact of if they're getting rid of it. Is it going into our sewer treatment plants? Is it going to our water treatment plants? Or heck, is it just going into the river when they pour it out because they claim it's safe? The reality is a lot of this is shrouded in secrecy, or it's just not told to begin with. And we're just told that if we question it, we're some sort of skeptics or we're conspiracy theorists because we're concerned about a random entity that we've never heard of popping down a building that all of a sudden makes our electricity rates go up, that uses our water, and that makes our water pressure even go down. I mean, we literally just saw Google having to admit that they used 30 million gallons of water from a town, that the town was questioning why their water pressure was down. But the official said, no, it's not the data center, guys. It's not the data center. No, it was the data center. It was the data center the whole damn time. And so people across the nation are getting upset. They feel like they're getting conned. Local officials just seem to be just letting it happen, sometimes under the guise of copious amounts of money being passed under the table or campaign contributions or donations. It's kind of ridiculous how the people that we've elected to protect our communities from things like this are just letting this happen under the guise of if someone dares question Daddy AI, that they must be just, conspiracy crazy people. Now, look, I'm no Luddite or something. Like, I'm not anti-future, okay? I'm not going to come out here and say that, like, again, like, I use AI in a couple things. And honestly, a lot of this AI data center stuff has made me question whether or not I even should be, because I feel like now I'm even contributing to that. Again, I publicly admitted that I used Perplexity in order to help source articles and source things for bill research. And now a lot of that makes me question, is this what we want? Here's the reality. These AI data centers are not going to bring any jobs. They're not bringing any benefit to their local communities. They're actively destroying our wildlife. They're actively destroying our electrical grids. On top of all of this, there's the environmental aspect of it. Remember how I said these AI data centers are pulling on our infrastructure? They're not waiting for the power companies to increase their infrastructure. In the meantime, they're bringing in hundreds of diesel and natural gas generators that run 24/7, causing copious amounts of noise. I mean, I'm literally just sitting here in my backyard. I mean, I live on a main street here in Lewistown, Pennsylvania, and even during the day, there's copious amounts of industrial noise from massive trucks, backing up trucks, just plowing down the road constantly. And that's all right. Look, it's industry. It's the middle of the day. It makes sense. But people would get upset if that was 24/7 and running at 70 to 90 decibels all day, every day, 24/7. These also cause light pollution. These massive data centers just run for some weird reason. I don't really understand it, but we've seen pictures of it. We've seen video of it where these data centers run just massively bright LEDs 24/7, causing light pollution that you can see for miles. These places are not benefiting us. They are putting out constant sound, constant light. They're sucking up our water. They're sucking up our electric. And the benefit they're providing to us is non-existent. In fact, it's a net negative. People can try to claim all they want that maybe even there's tax incentives for all of this, but I would argue with you this. If all of a sudden Waste Management came to us and said, hey, we're going to give you a ton of tax dollars, enough tax dollars that maybe you don't even have to worry about taxes for the rest of your life, but we're going to dump toxic sludge in your streets 24/7. I don't think we'd be okay with that. But yet, for some reason, when we put it in a box and we throw it at the corner of our town, we're okay with the idea of them ruining our environment, ruining our hearing, ruining our water supply and our electric. Maybe our electric prices go through the roof. We're apparently okay with all that. Personally, I'm not. As a person running for state representative, I can already tell you right off the bat, I vow to, if elected, go heavily on the state level after these AI companies and making it so they have to follow regulations in order to put up these data centers. Right now, my opponent, I can tell you flat out, does not care about this. I know this not only because he is backed financially by energy companies that are looking to massively profit off of this, but also because he's actively voted no on AI data center legislation in the House of Representatives. So, on a political level, I think it's clear that you should be looking at your elected representatives and supporting people who are going to back your communities. On a fundamental level, what can we do now? Because obviously, even if I were to get elected, that's months away. And to get a bill through, that all takes time. These data centers are coming right now. So the question becomes, what can we do? Well, right now, we need to be going to our borough councils, to our county councils, to our local municipalities, and demanding ordinances in order to make it so these data AI centers are ridiculously hard to build. You can't just go to your local municipality and say, I don't want data centers, because they'll hem and haw and claim, well, we can't ban specific businesses, blah, 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 right? Fine. We need to use ordinances, the same kind of ordinances that make it so you can't have a second stove in your house because you want to have an extra area for your mom and dad to live with you. The same ordinances that say you can't have a block party after 9. The same ordinances that they use in order to make you and me have to conform to the rules that for some reason these AI data centers don't have to follow. We need to use ordinances to actually enforce some rules on these AI data centers. That includes making it so you can't run generators 24/7. You can't bring 150 generators in and just run them 24/7. You can't have light pollution 24/7. You can't take all of our water. You have to bring in your own power, and it has to be renewable. We can do things on our local level, and your legislators have the ability to do this, whether they realize it or not. They have the ability to enact laws that make it so building an AI data center in your community for these corporations isn't something that's profitable for them. It doesn't make sense. And before you say, oh, well, these are already done deals, they're already built. I'm speaking directly to the people in Mifflin County right now that are dealing with this right now. This is not a done deal. These AI data centers are not a done deal. Even if a data center is built currently, ordinances that are created can also impact businesses that are currently on the ground. And so if a data center is using hundreds of generators, passing an ordinance that makes it so the decibels have to be under a certain amount and they can't run 24/7, that means that they have to abide by that. We can make laws that work for us instead of against us. And that's what we need to be doing. So right now, on May 26th, there's a planning commission meeting in Granville Township where a data center is currently proposed to go up. And while the data center currently isn't on their agenda, people should be showing up in order to say how they feel about this and demanding ordinances in order to make it so these data centers don't want to come here. If enough townships, counties, states, and groups of citizens make their voices heard, these data centers will have to change. The reason they are rushing at breakneck pace to put these data centers up as fast as possible, making county commissioners and township supervisors sign NDA agreements, is because they know it's unpopular. They know what they're doing is wrong, and they don't care because there is billions of dollars to make. They know this, and they want to rush to get it done before you have a chance to even voice your concern against it. So go out, talk to your neighbors, get together, and force your local government to work for you for a change. Make them pass ordinances to protect your communities. Make them pass ordinances that make it so these data centers can't come in and ruin your towns. In closing, on a personal level, I believe we should stop using AI. Just fundamentally. It's a moral decision. It's something that I believe if I am going to walk the walk and talk the talk that I need to commit to. So I won't be using AI anymore. I'm just going to stop. It sucks. I'll try to do everything in my power not to use AI-based services, turn off AI search in Google, and try to avoid it as best I can. Because if I'm not for AI data centers, that means I shouldn't be using AI in my daily life. I'd ask you to consider to do the same thing. While it may be easy to punch a prompt in order to make a flyer, Canva exists. There are tools that make things super easy in order to make your life easier that don't involve using AI. I'd ask you to consider not using it in your daily life, because the more that we show that we don't want this product, the more these companies won't keep pushing super hard to build it. Additionally, we need to be going to our local elected officials and demand ordinances and protection for our communities. It's simple. They have the power to protect our communities. They just either A, don't know it yet, or B, are too afraid to do it because they're worried about pissing off big business or the tax incentives. There's no tax incentive that is worth destroying our rural communities, and that's a fact.